let me be clear. The president is begging me to call him to ask him to do something that we don't want. He wants me to call him and ask him to call in National Guard to the city of Chicago. We don't want it. So that's why I'm not calling the president.
Yes, J.B. Circumference Pritzker, the inherited billionaire governor of the state of Illinois. He should really end up in a penitentiary. Like so many Illinois governors before him have. Hang on now. Put on your red shoes, dance the blues. Let's dance. Go like this. Let's dance. Well, a very good Thursday to you, and welcome back once again. We continue to be at 888-630-9625. I'll tell you what, one of my brothers in Chicago just sent me a pretty hilarious news story. Well, I mean, hilarious being a relative thing, of course, but a fairly hilarious news story. I want to update you on what the Democrats are for and what the Democrats are against. A summary of what law enforcement is doing in Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. Good stuff. Last night, an additional 81 arrests made in Washington, D.C., 13 more illegal firearms seized off of illegal aliens and other Democrat Party criminals here in Washington, D.C., including one firearm recovered from a school in downtown Washington, D.C., and they have now made 1,841 arrests since the federal government started working to reduce crime in the federal capital, the national capital, the District of Columbia. It's a federal district, and it should be taken away from the Democrats and given to the federal government. 188 firearms, illegal guns, have been seized since the crackdown. They love that term, crackdown. Since the crackdown began, that is, to start enforcing the law in Washington, D.C., the Democrats are hell-bent on stopping any enforcement of the law because they don't like the law. They like crime. They're the party of crime. The Democrat Party is the party of violence, party of firebombing Jewish governors' mansions, party of rioting and looting and plundering and carjackings and everything else. That's today's release from the Department of Justice, that we had again, 81 arrests, 13 more guns, including one at a school. Also, major drug arrests taking place, lots and lots of illegal aliens. The tweet from yesterday out of the Justice Department, separate numbers altogether, 92 arrests, and 27 illegal firearms. That was yesterday. Arrests included 2 homicide suspects, 5 arrests for assaults against law enforcement, and the Democrats applaud the assaults against law enforcement because they're not on our side. Then, of course, we had Labor Day weekend. Over the Labor Day weekend, more than 200 arrests in Washington, D.C., and 20 illegal guns seized, 70 arrests, and 3 guns recovered just on Monday night. And one night, 70 arrests, 3 more guns. And the goal is to make D.C. safe and be an example for the rest of the country that Democrats, where they encourage murder and shootings and carjackings because they're Democrats, and it seems like all Democrats are criminals. Now let's get to because I like going to Hey Jackass. It's one of my favorite websites now, where they update the murders in Washington D.C. on a daily basis, and now it's September 4th, and so far in Chicago in 4 days. There have been, this month alone, September to date, 2 people shot and killed, 23 more shot and wounded. So far this year, 294 murders with a total of 1,377 people shot. That's in Chicago, and Chicago alone. That's not Cook County. That's not the state of Illinois. That's not the entire Midwest or the entire country of the United States of America. Afghanistan had fewer people killed and fewer people shot, but that's your Democrat Party. Now, with with that, I was looking at D.C. carjacking numbers this morning because the Democrats love carjacking, usually with guns. You know, they're pretty amazing stuff. June of 2025, we had 37 carjackings because Democrats like carjacking. May, we had 50 carjackings. Was talking this morning to a great American from calling in from Florida, Patrick in Pinellas County, said they had 4 carjackings in a year. 4 carjackings in a year in Pinellas County in Florida. I was looking at, again, the D.C. numbers. In June of 2023, we had 140 carjackings in 1 month. All right, we're 68 square miles, about 700,000 people, and you don't need that kind of crime level. Now, with that said, one of my brothers in Chicago sent me a great story this morning. Well, a great story is a relative thing, I suppose. But the local CBS station, WBBM, in Chicago, Illinois, they've got an amazing story, a television story. Chaos divers, they call themselves Chaos. They have a boat, looks like a police boat. On the front, there's a big patch, looks like a badge, says Chaos Divers. And these guys have a boat, these people, men and women. They have a cool boat, and they have scans that can look beneath the water for lost treasure and things. But here's the headline. Chaos divers locate more than 90 submerged cars in the Chicago River system. I'm sorry, 90? How many of them do you think have people in the trunk? How many of them have people strapped into the driver's seat with 2 to the back of the head? Know what I'm talking about here? More than 90 cars were reported found in the Chicago River system on Wednesday. CBS News Chicago wrote along Wednesday with Chaos Divers, the dive crew searching for the cars. The Chaos Divers team travels the country looking for cars involved in cold cases. Usually murders, cold cases, investigations, police investigations that led to no arrests and so on. This week, they've been traveling the Chicago River system from Diversey Parkway to the North Branch to Cicero Avenue to Sanitary and Ship Canal, right? And listen, we have 10 missing persons cases in Chicago, said Chaos Divers manager Lindsay Busick. But our focus is Edward and Stephania Andrews. So it was May of 1970, more than 55 years ago, that Edward and Stephania Andrews, both 62 years old at the time, left a cocktail party at a Sheraton Hotel on Michigan Avenue, right in downtown Chicago over there. They got into their car and they were never seen again. But as the Chaos Divers team were looking for the husband and wife, they came across dozens of other cars. Now, I want you to listen to the CBS WBBM Chicago, the local CBS station there, to their reporting on this horror show.
On this boat is the Chaos Divers team. They travel the country looking for cars involved in cold cases. And this week, they are traveling the Chicago River from Diversey on the North Branch to Cicero via the Chicago Sanitary and Ship Canal.
Sure.
The amount of detail that we
Chicago
can get off
Sanitary
of the sonar.
Canal.
Lindsay Busick is the manager.
We have 10 missing persons cases in Chicago.
But as they were trying to solve cold cases, they came across dozens of other cars.
Once we kind of reached that 50, 60 number point, then it was kind of like, okay, this was even a little more than we had expected to find.
Busick says they found over 90 cars in the depths of the Chicago River over the last few days.
A few days. They spent a few days. They found, you'd think maybe over the last 50 or 60 years this would have been done once or twice. But I love the people, and she sounds wonderful. I watched the story on the TV because my brother sent it to me on my internet. I have the internet here and an iPad, so I was able to watch the thing right here. But I love these Chaos Divers, and what an amazing story. And the Chicago River, I grew up as a kid. We lived along the North Branch of the Chicago River and used to skate on it in the wintertime and stuff like that. But isn't this amazing? and they're looking for Edward and Stephania, 62 years old, been missing since 1970. I'm like, hey, is this their car? Well, no. Hey, is this their car? No, and 90 cars later, I was saying, well, we still haven't found, but I love Lindsay Busick because she sounds like she's a lot of fun, actually, and she looks like she's fun in the video, too.
To find the cars, they have sonars set up here in the command center, so they're able to find the cars before they dive in.
There's so much that we can tell you from this.
If they locate a car,
there's a vehicle right here. That's actually a muscle car.
they could retrieve it
Muscle car.
themselves. But Wednesday afternoon, they called Chicago police to take out this Nissan sedan Busick says was damaging boats. This was a stolen car in 2023.
Imagine that. In Chicago, a stolen car ends up in the Chicago River. Anybody in the trunk? Because, I used to drive a Lincoln Townhouse. For years, I drove a Lincoln Townhouse. And I always said the trunk was so big, that I always said it's a 5-Tony trunk. 5-Tony. Because you could put 5 guys named Tony from New Jersey in the trunk and then maybe, drop it in a river somewhere like that. Yeah. And my Lincoln Townhouse, huge. It was great. If you're locked in the trunk, you could get out, too. Because, it was the Jersey edition. It was very good. So CBS Chicago, WBBM, on the Chaos Divers, finding more than 90 automobiles at the bottom of the Chicago River. And they're solving crimes, cold cases, and all this good stuff. And I bet they're having fun, too.
However, there are times they do solve decades-old cases.
Thankfully, we have had the opportunity to bring 20 people home over the last 4 years.
2 of those were here in the Chicago area. They found this car in the Fox River in Elgin this spring. Inside were skeletal remains of Karen Scheppers, who went missing in 1983.
1983, Karen Scheppers. That's pretty good. They're solving these mysteries. It's great stuff. And I love, and the story's done pretty well, too. I've got to say, the WBBM report and the reporter and the whole story is done quite well. And I love the Chaos Divers getting the job done in Chicago, Illinois.
So this is actually a full-size Audi SUV in the water.
As for what's next for the over 90 cars in the water, when we reached out to Chicago police, they directed us to the Illinois Department of Natural Resources.
Sure.
And we are still waiting to hear back from them.
I bet you are. I bet that's pretty amazing story, right? And more than 90 cars in the Chicago River in Chicago. And you can't see them. It's not that deep a river. You're walking along, riding your bike along. Hey, is that a car down under the water there? Because I don't think they're supposed to be there. They're not supposed to be parking there. Isn't that amazing? Yes, it is. Womp, womp, womp. Your Chicago crime. It's full of Democrats. They always elect Democrats. They send Democrats to Washington. They have Democrat mayors. They like crime. If President Trump says, hey, let's fight crime together in Chicago, then they set your Jewish neighbor's car on fire because they're the Democrat Party. Isn't that amazing? You remember, what's her name? Baby Groot, right? She was the mayor of Chicago, Illinois for a long time. She's very LGBTQ, and she's not the mayor anymore, but she's still hanging around. And Baby Groot is back on the scene. She wants to talk about who's to blame for gun crime in Chicago. You'll never guess. I've got that coming up. And the current mayor, Let's Go, Brandon Johnson, he's a former educator. And he's not on the side of law and order. That would be generous to say. I've got that and more and some good stuff from a Chicago alderman. That's like a city councilman in Chicago, and he's a Democrat. But wait till you hear this guy. He has removed his head from his dark and remote location. Remarkable things going on in the world today. You know that the all-new third-generation Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifier is finally here. And the third generation builds on the incredible success of the previous generations, and they earned thousands of five-star reviews on Al Gore's amazing internet, became a bestseller. The new Eden Pure Thunderstorm uses 2 technologies, and studies have shown that these 2 technologies help to kill up to 99.9% of bacteria and viruses floating in the air that you breathe at home, at work, Your mom does, your kids do. Also removes dust and pet dander and smoke and all kinds of nasty from the air that you breathe, and gets rid of any odor lickety-split. The Thunderstorm will help get rid of any stinky smell, guaranteed. Odors from trash cans, cigarette smoke, smelly liberal protesters, musty basements, no match for the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. Right now, because we hang out together, you can save $200 American dollars on an Eden Pure Thunderstorm 3-pack for whole home protection. You can put one in your teenager's room, your basement, your kitchen, any place you like to breathe clean, fresh air. All you have to do is go to EdenPureDeals.com, EdenPureDeals.com, and use the discount code CHRIS3, CHRIS and the number 3 to save $200 on 3 Thunderstorms. That's EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is CHRIS3. Yes, sir. Yeah, there's a battle going on in the United States now. It's a national battle, thanks to President Trump. And the Democrats get to reveal themselves once again. More than 90 cars at the bottom of the Chicago River. It's like flying over there every day. All right, let's go to the telephones, Michael. And then I'm going to get to these politicians. Let's go to Jenny, calling from Fredericksburg, Virginia. Jenny, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Thank you, Chris, for taking my call. First of all, I just want to let you know you're always on in the background in my house. But just a side note, real quick. I was calling about the Guard, but I just wanted to let you know I've been fascinated with Adventures with Purpose. There's a bunch of people that search for cars, not just the chaos divers, but there's a lot of people who do that for a living, and
really?
It's amazing. Yes, sir. Adventures with Purpose was one of the first ones that I started looking at on YouTube. They show you how the sonars are, and they show you how to find it. They show you the dive technique, and that's actually what spurred me on to get my scuba license.
Wow, cool. That's great.
I know it is. It is cool. But anyway, back to the Guard. I don't understand why people are freaking out about the Guard, because I used to be a hospice nurse working in D.C., and I'd go to everywhere. I mean, all over. Great places, very scary places. And a lot of people didn't bother me because they saw the stethoscope. It's like, oh, she's not going to come here and do anything,
Right.
But having the
well, here's what I've got to do, Jenny, because you're so wonderful. Can I ask you to hang on for a minute? Because Michael Piercy is bringing the music up, and that means we have to go to a commercial because this ain't NPR. But I want to come back to you because you're great, and and my show's always on in the background, and you're in the middle of your story, so I don't want to be rude. So hang in there for a minute, would you? Yes. My apologies. Let us get back to Jenny calling from Fredericksburg, Virginia, because Jenny's so wonderful. And Jenny, thank you for hanging in there.
Oh, no problem. I'm just really glad I could get to talk to you live. It's great. It really is. But anyway, so going around the district seeing patients, hospice, you're in any place, it could be in you had Secret Service people around you, 2 miles down the road, you're in squalor.
Right.
So a lot of these places were frightening. And to know that there's Guard around, that would have been very helpful, because just the presence of them being there says, not going to happen.
That's right.
To some other people, and I really don't understand. What's the big deal? If you don't have anything to hide, what's the big deal? So that's just my 2 cents. I don't practice in D.C. I'm down in Fredericksburg now, and that's a little different. But
I bet it is.
But anyway,
I bet it is different in Fredericksburg than it was in D.C. and than it is in D.C. to this day. No doubt about it. Well, and you learned to scuba dive because you saw that there were people out there finding submerged automobiles and closed case crimes and things, and you said, "Oh, that's cool. I want to learn how to scuba dive," and so you became a scuba diver because of that. That's pretty amazing too. That's cool.
Well, actually, I lost a GoPro in a lake, and I was like OCD. I'm going to get that thing. And people were like, "Sandy, you need to let it go. You really do." And I'm like, "No, I'm going to get it." Well, I haven't gotten it yet, but I went.
That's great.
I went to YouTube, and I was just looking around. How do I find blah blah? And that's when the car stuff came up, and it's fascinating how much stuff is underwater. It's fascinating. It's fascinating. I mean, 3/4 of this planet is water.
Right.
I mean, it's just fascinating for people that think
like
that's
70% of me is water. Difficult to scuba dive in, though, I'll confess. That's great.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, I don't understand why people are freaking out about the Guard. I think it's a great thing. And in Chicago, I don't understand why. What's the problem? What is the problem?
They're pro-crime. Pro-crime. Democrats are pro-crime. They're pro-murder, pro-crime, pro-carjacking. They're anti-police. They're anti-U.S. military because they're fundamentally anti-American. Now, if you're fundamentally anti-U.S. military and Guard, no less, not even full-time military,
right.
But the Democrat Party is against them, it's because the Guard, in this instance, the Guard represents law and order, and the Democrat Party represents the opposite of law and order.
Well, I'd rather have law and order.
Me too. And I live in D.C.,
yeah.
And I've lived here for 30 some years, and there have been periods where crime is off the charts high and periods where crime is way down compared to off the charts high. And the Democrats, they're fighting for more crime. They're arguing in favor of more crime. I don't know if you heard, nice lady earlier, Patty, whose son lives in Washington, D.C. in Foggy Bottom, and the neighborhood. And he started screaming at his mother that Trump and his mother are causing the city to become a war zone when nothing could be farther from the truth. It's not only not true, it's the opposite of the truth.
It really is. Like I said, rights. Well, what about people's rights that are innocent?
Right. Yeah.
They get killed.
Well, no, and people you have a right to life, which they're opposed, of course, and they love Planned Parenthood and killing 40% of the black population in the womb. They're the party of slavery and Jim Crow and the KKK. They're the Democrat Party. Somebody should tell the truth about the Democrat Party, don't you think?
Yes, I can't imagine living in a place where I hear cowbells
and
whatever you called it.
Yeah, and that they're banging pots and pans and cowbells. They have cowbells, and they're banging. And they're on street corners in front of our building in the evenings, and they're downtown where I work in the afternoons, and they're banging cowbells and screaming "Free D.C." for crime, for criminals. They're literally the street crime lobby, the Democrat Party.
You know what, Chris? When one of those people who's banging the cowbells gets attacked, they might change their tune. I mean, listen. I'm all for rights and whatnot, but it's common sense.
Yeah,
it really is.
Common sense isn't.
No, it isn't. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a question. When you say Xi Jinping? What is the Ricochet Rabbit? I just have to know.
It's you got to look up the cartoon Ricochet Rabbit in the open. They said, "Bing, bing, bing, a Ricochet Rabbit." So every time I hear Xi Jinping's name, I think of "Bing, bing, bing, a Ricochet Rabbit." Do you have the Ricochet Rabbit? Well, you must have the Ricochet Rabbit because certainly we've played it before. Yeah, I'm sorry. You must be much too young for Ricochet Rabbit because it was it was a ubiquitous cartoon when I was a child. And Michael Piercy, here I've got, because you asked, we share.
Yeah. Bing, bing, bing! Ricochet Rabbit is here.
See, it's ping, ping, ping. And so every time I hear it, I think of Xi Jinping, or every time I hear Xi Jinping, I think of ping, 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 Ricochet. Because he was so fast, Ricochet Rabbit, that he ricocheted off things, bouncing, because he's a rabbit, so he's real fast, and he bounced off of stuff. And I always think of Ricochet Rabbit when I hear Xi Jinping's name. So I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh, that's great. That's great. Like I said, I had to ask because I was like, what does that mean? I don't get it.
You should make that your telephone ringtone now. Bing, 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 Ricochet.
Oh, bing, bing, bing.
See, Ricochet Rabbit.
I'll look into it.
That'd be
I've never
fun.
heard of it before.
All right, Jenny, thank you very much for an excellent call. Very happy you called in. A pleasure talking to you, and I'm very happy to hear that my humble radio show is on in the background with you in the morning. That's wonderful stuff. And I have so much to get to. I have a miracle to report, actually, Jenny. And, we all like miracles, and the Democrats don't. They like after-school Satan Club. But here is a miracle from the Fox News Channel. It's a miracle. And they have exclusive video. The video is exclusive. Exclusive video reveals Gaza boy said to have been killed by the IDF is alive. He is risen. Look at this. Isn't this great? Veteran told multiple outlets he witnessed IDF forces kill the boy at humanitarian aid site in Maine. In May, the month of May, not the state of Maine. And the Fox News exclusive, a young Gazan boy dubbed Amir, A-M-I-R, Amir, who traveled to Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. He went to a Humanitarian Foundation distribution site, and he was reported as having been killed by Israeli Defense Forces in May. He's been found alive and was hiding out with his mother. Well, naturally, where else would he be? He's a young boy. He'd be with his mother. It'd be the place to be. In an exclusive interview with the boy, whose real name was confirmed by the GHF, that's the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, to be Abdul Ramin Mohammed Hamdan. Naturally, got to have all that in there. But who goes by Aboud. He goes by Aboud, but he's Abdul Rahman Mohammed Hamdan, but he goes by Aboud, which makes perfect sense. I'm Christopher Mark Plant. I was Christopher Mark Orteg until I was 5 years old, but that's another story for another day. So Aboud, 8-year-old boy, and his mother answered questions provided by Fox News Digital through the Humanitarian Foundation translator, which the pair appeared excited ahead of their planned extraction from the Gaza Strip. Well, I bet it's one of the world's major beep holes, no doubt about it. Aboud and his mother, whose name is Najla, were safely extracted from the Gaza Strip on Thursday. Isn't that nice? That's today, though the location has not been disclosed of this reporting. But outside the Gaza Strip is nice, Aboud said. That's what he said. Here's a picture of him. He's smiling. He couldn't be happier. He's very healthy. Looks like he's been eating well. There's no famine, no starvation. Looks well-fed and happy and smiling, healthy. Outside the Gaza Strip is nice, Aboud said, according to the translation verified by Fox News. The story of Aboud went viral after a former Gaza Humanitarian Foundation contractor, Anthony Aguilar, a 25-year veteran of the U.S. Army and retired Green Beret lieutenant colonel, said he saw the boy, who he called Amir, gunned down by IDF forces outside the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation distribution site on May 28th. But it turns out that the guy who's named here, that's pretty amazing, Anthony Aguilar, and claims to be a 25-year veteran of the Army and a retired Green Beret lieutenant colonel in 2005. And he said, I saw little boo-boo get shot and killed, and now here's the kid out here playing paddleball and smiling and looking great. Looks healthy as anybody's ever looked. Isn't that amazing? Yes, sir. Wearing like a Superman T-shirt and all this stuff. Shot in the torso, shot in the leg, dead, said the alleged former Green Beret, writing online about Aboud, who's not Amir. But this is news out of the Middle East. Isn't that just perfectly typical, perfectly ordinary? Man, oh, Manischewitz. That is really something. I'm telling you. Yes, sir. And we've got Democrats. Democrats are everywhere. They're in the judiciary, and they're Democrats. They're the bad guys. Oh, there's another funny story, too. Did you see President Trump pulled Kamala Harris's Secret Service protection? Now, normally a former vice president when you leave office as vice president. You get Secret Service protection for another 6 months, and then you're on your own. President of the United States, rest of your life. Okay, vice president, 6 months. But Joe Biden's auto pen said, oh, no, we're going to give Kamala Harris an extra year. So she gets a year and a half of Secret Service protection. And when the Trump White House saw this, just another abuse of power by the Biden White House, probably an auto pen thing. So the Trump White House said, no, you'll get 6 months Secret Service protection, and that means you've run out of Secret Service protection, right? Now, the LAPD, because Democrats run the place, they said that, oh, well, we're going to provide personal security to Kamala Harris, I guess in perpetuity. I don't know for how long. But then we learned here, LAPD officers pulled off working cases to protect Kamala Harris, according to multiple reports. So the law enforcement, they're pulled off of, enforcing the law and arresting bad guys to provide protection. And that reminded us of Lori Lightfoot, the now former mayor, Baby Groot of Chicago, Illinois, because she had, 30 full-time Chicago police protecting her while there was a crime wave across Chicago to beat the band. And Lori Lightfoot came out yesterday. What was she on? CNN? CNN, of course. And she's there to say crime is good and Trump is bad.
If he comes to Chicago, he's going to be in court, and he's going to be sued by the state. He's going to be sued by the city, and I believe that there will be private interests that also sue him. This is not about violent crime, and I don't think we should pretend that this manufactured crisis and his attempt to provoke people in Chicago is legitimate exercise of power. It is not.
Yeah, what do you want to do? Fight crime? Come on, we're in favor of crime. And then this amazing thing, the current mayor of Chicago, I keep doing that. Let's go, Brandon Johnson. He blames Republicans for crime in Chicago because the guns.
Chicago will continue to have a violence problem as long as red states continue to have a gun problem.
We don't.
Shootings will continue as long as this presidential administration continues to put politics over people.
Sure, because that's what's going on here. Sure. Hey, I want to talk to you about living a better digital life with one of our newest partners, WebRoot. I chose WebRoot because their total protection product, and WebRoot has an all-in-one package, cover 5 devices for you as an individual, 10 devices as a family. WebRoot covers antivirus protection, identity theft protection, VPN backup, and more. It allows me and my best girl to live a better digital life, too. Right now, you get 50% off WebRoot's Total Protection, WebRoot's Essentials Plan, when you go to webroot.com/plant. 50% off at webroot.com/plant. Thank you very much. This is the old blood in the street, it's up to my ankles. Blood in the streets, it's up to my knees. Blood in the streets of Chicago. Let's go back to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Justin, calling from Wilmington, North Carolina. Justin, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, good morning, Chris. Just some basic common sense. The reason we need the National Guard is because our justice system has not supported our rights to self-defense of life, liberty, and our personal property. If you cannot use force to defend life, liberty, and your property, then force will be used to take away your life, liberty, and property. Why would anybody open up a retail store in a city where you have 10 people coming in the door with guns and masks, and you're not allowed to defend yourself?
Yeah, you're 100% right, of course. And we the geniuses that founded this country understood our rights centuries ago better than the average Democrat understands rights today. Right, Justin? And
exactly.
And you're right. They strip us of our rights and they empower criminals and crime to take advantage of the lax approach to enforcing the law. And the Democrat Party is 100% responsible for all of it.
Yep. We either have a police state or we take personal responsibility. I mean, I think property crime is violent crime. It could take the food right off your kid's table. You know, it could put you out of business. It could put you out of a home. You know, we've got to stand up for ourselves, and the government needs to protect our rights to defend ourselves. Otherwise, we can have a police state with criminals and cops will have the guns, and we'll all just be waiting for our turn to be a victim.
Which is the Democrat plan, is that the state will possess all the guns, except for all the criminals that have guns, because, you know, when you outlaw guns, only outlaws will have guns. It's a great old bumper sticker from a half a century ago. And it's not as though we need to reinvent the wheel on this or figure this out all over again, because there are those of us, Justin, and I know you're aware, that have been paying attention all along, and we know the difference. But the Democrat Party teaches ignorance, don't they? In schools, on college campuses, they teach ignorance of the law, ignorance of our rights, our God-given rights. First, they wipe out God from the marketplace and from the discussion, and then they teach kids that your rights come from the state, from the government, which means that the state, the government, can take your rights away at any time. If they're a gift from the state, then the state can deprive you of those rights. And that's really the foundation of the idea that our rights are God-given and natural rights. And it's genius, but the left is here to dismantle all of that, to dismantle Western civilization, really, which is what we're watching, Justin.
Yep.
Yeah, you know it. I don't need to tell you.
I'm going to stand up for my rights.
Yeah.
I'm going to defend myself and my churches and my schools and my community and, you know, take personal responsibility. I don't want a police state. We can't afford to hire enough, you know, police to be everywhere at all times.
Right.
And we will have no stores if we allow them to continue to be robbed, looted, riots, you know, mobs. I mean, I don't see why there's any retail stores in any of these major Democrat cities with these George Soros, you know, prosecutors and attorneys. How can they stay in business? You know, and how can the people be safe?
Yeah, which is the backbone of our society, is small business ownership and independence, and the Democrats are against all that. Yeah, and Mayor Johnson, we just played the audio soundbite, blaming red states for crime in Democrat cities. Typical.